All right, so EHG just released their survey on their mid-cycle build balance, which is an interesting term because they didn't really do any balancing. But they released a survey on it. And if you don't know already, this has been a pretty serious position of debate, let's call it debate, in the community right now, with most of it being one-sided. But either way, I haven't read this yet. I was told it might happen. So let's read it, and then I'm going to take the survey, and I'm going to see how the wording is on this, because for me personally, I'll just put it out here how I feel about this. This isn't a no-brainer, easy win, change your stance because everyone hates it. Needing a survey seems like massive overkill, and if it's worded wrong, they could get interesting results here that fit them better. I don't know that's going to happen. It didn't happen in the last survey, so I'm not saying it's going to, but let's just see how the survey goes here. And yeah, again, not sure why we need to do a survey on this. It seemed pretty cut and dry that the community is against how they're handling this, but let's find out what they say. As we continue our mission of collaboration with the community, we wanted to reach out and get as much feedback as we can on the topic of mid-cycle balance. So I'm already to say here I'm concerned because they're talking about balance, not bug fixes, when the entire community is telling them bug fixes. So it feels like they're shifting the narrative. But let's see how it goes. In years past, we have reached out to the community via survey, and we found the feedback very valuable. Today, we're hoping to do the same once again. Previously, our decision on the topic of mid-cycle balance, bug fixing, has been to avoid adjustments to skills and items that are overperforming, but are not bugs, and to avoid fixing bugs that result in those skills becoming seemingly weaker. The second part here is the important part. The exceptions here are bugs that cause server stability issues. I don't know when this decision happened. This decision has not always been the way they handle things. So I'm not sure why they started doing this and saying, actually, we're not going to change bug fixing. We're not going to do any bug fixing, because it wasn't always the case that after they'd release a patch, they'd do this. Of course, they didn't have cycles technically. They were just patches. So maybe they decided for cycles it's something different. But I don't recall them getting a lot of negative feedback when they fixed a bug before. So anyway, here's where we are. The exception here are bugs that cause serviceability issues. To be clear, this small survey only focuses on bug fixes or balance changes that apply to overperforming skills or items. We will continue to fix bugs that result in skills and or items receiving a buff. Okay, that's weird. Why one and not the other? If you overbuff something, you can also affect the ladder negatively if that's what you're worried about. Like if you mid-cycle buff something and then people all of a sudden are pushing past the other builds that everyone had just built up to be competitive. I don't understand the difference here. I don't understand why they're compartmentalizing this stuff and thinking there's any change here. Things like server stability, item factions, or similar issues are not part of the survey. We know the conversation can be more nuanced than your typical agree, disagree, no opinion poll. We also want to get the sentiment of the community at large. Please take a few minutes. It's only 7 questions, and let us know your thoughts. All right, let's read this. Bug fix is not a nerf, it's a bug fix. Yeah, it's very strange already, the wording. I'm already concerned about it. Sorry, wow, that's a flashbang. Holy. Okay, there we go. Oof, why is that like that? All right, as we continue our mission of collaboration with the community, we wanted to reach out and get as much feedback, blah, blah, blah. I think this is pretty much the same thing. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. Survey instructions. For each question below, please indicate which of the following applies. 1 being strongly agree, 5 being strongly disagree. During a cycle, you would like us to fix bugs that cause skills or items to highly overperform. Strongly agree. Why is this even a question? Especially quickly. I hope there's something in here about how quickly to do it. During a cycle, you'd like us to fix bugs that cause skills or items to mildly overperform. What does that mean? Does that take a skill from B to S tier? And maybe the top of S tier, and all of a sudden it's beating everything. What does mildly overperform feel like? I don't know what that means. Let's make it 2. What is mildly overperform? Weird, 1 being yes, 5 being no. Oh yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think of that. This one should be strongly agree. Okay, yeah, this is interesting. During a cycle, you would like us to nerf skills or items that are highly overperforming, even if it's not caused by a bug. What does highly overperform mean? And again, during a cycle, when during a cycle? Like at the first 5 days? Yes, I do want you to. I don't want you to wait 3 weeks and then do it. I want you to get this done immediately. So like there's a big... I'm already very concerned about the wording of this thing. Why are they so non-specific? Yeah, I don't know. You put 1s for highly overperforming, 3 for mildly. Yeah, that's fair. I'm just gonna put 1 on here. Like, if something, what is highly over? If it's a C tier skill and a bug makes an A tier skill, no, I don't care. And you should probably buff the skill and fix the bug at the same time, because it was a bad skill that the bug is actually helping to be a good skill. If it's a tier build that's now SSSSS tier, yeah, I want you to change that. I don't want anything to be SSSSS tier. Anything that's above an S tier, which we don't like, you know, the verbiage here is leaving some ambiguity, but basically, if it's vastly outperforming the content to the extent to where it's so clearly not intended that a build could do this. Look at Explosive Trap Ballista. You're not supposed to 2-screen clear enemies from 1 screen away. You're not supposed to be able to do that. And so if it's doing that, that's not intended, and you should probably do something about that probably pretty quickly before everyone starts playing it and the new meta has formed. So that's my issue here. During a cycle, you would like us to nerf skills or items that are mildly overperforming, even if it's not caused by a bug. What does that mean? What does mildly overperforming mean? I'm just gonna put a 3. During a cycle, a full reset to leaderboards should be done when builds or items are nerfed that are highly overperforming as a result of a bug fix or balance. No, you don't need a full reset the entire board because some people are like abusing bugs. Just get rid of the ones that are doing it. Like, don't punish everybody. This is obvious to me. During a cycle, a partial reset, only affected entries to leaderboards should be done when builds or items are nerfed that are highly overperforming as a result of a bug fix. No, okay. Why is this both bug fix and balance change? You reset the board. If you can do it once, you can do it again. You can, but maybe you won't. Maybe you won't do the same run. Like, maybe you had like just a god tier run, and now you're just screwed because some other guy used a bug. This should never be together. This should never be together. Someone playing an overperforming build versus someone playing a known bugged build are not the same thing. They're not the same thing. Why are these together? I think the way it's laid out, being left agree, right disagree, being backwards will skew results, possibly. It absolutely could. Tracking perspective, though, it's too difficult to manage who's using bugs and who isn't. I disagree. It's very easy to see who's using the bugs on the Warlock right now. The people who are pushing 2,000 waves are using bugs. The people who aren't using the bugs, or they're just bad at the game. They don't matter anyway. The only ones you care about are the ones that are getting a massive advantage and like overpowering everyone else from a bug. We know what the bugs are, so we see what builds are pushing that are using bugs. That's the one. It's actually not that hard. There's sometimes a fine line. Is there? Like, the only way I'd say there's a fine line is if something's highly overperforming and they come out and say, guys, this is highly overperforming. Clearly not intentional. We're going to nerf it. And then people keep pushing it. Okay, yeah. You guys probably, shouldn't have done that, and you're probably going to lose your spot. But, like, a build that is just really, really, really good, performing better than the others, like, unless it's insanely broken, you just made a good build based upon what was given to you. You're not abusing anything. I don't know. I don't. This should be 2 questions. This should be 2 questions. I'm gonna say 1, but I don't necessarily agree with the second part. But there's no way for me to give that nuance here. Sometimes a bug lets something be fairly strong is left in the game, but something like the Warlock Ward build are definitely ruining the game. Yes, that's the ones we're talking about. We're not talking about like a bug that makes a build good. We're talking about a bug that makes a build god. Where's this coming from? It's there's a new what do you call it? A new survey up on in the news post. Skills overtuned or someone finds a previously unknown interaction during a cycle, you do not think they should touch it. If a skill is overperforming due to bugs that need to be fixed, it's a bug. Yeah, that's basically where I'm at with it. With some exception of like early on if something's massively overperforming. I also want to point out there's a much better solution for most of this. There's a much better solution. And they're going to hate me for saying it this way, but it's true. Most of this stuff was reported before 1.0. And so if it was fixed when it was actually reported, this problem doesn't exist. I think every bug that the community has had a problem with was reported before 1.0 and well before 1.0 with plenty of time to fix it. And for whatever reason, it wasn't prioritized. And so those bugs got in the wild and they wreaked havoc. And now they're reaping the fruits of that lack of labor on that particular thing. They did a lot of stuff. They're not lazy, but they decided not to prioritize this stuff. And this is the consequence. They didn't prioritize these bugs, and now they have to put out surveys because everyone's mad at them. If these bugs get fixed before you get to the cycle, you don't have to worry about this. You might get a random one here and there. Like, you can't get everything. Even with CT, something can always slip through the cracks. People aren't going to be as mad if one bug comes out and it's wrecking the leaderboards for 24 hours, and then 24 hours you fix it. Not a big deal. But when you have 6 bugs that are wrecking everything, and you leave them in for 3 weeks, and most of them could have been fixed beforehand, that's when you get this problem. That's when this comes up. All right, the last one. During a cycle, I want to be notified via public forum post in advance. When a bug fix or balance change will end up nerfing a highly performing build. I'm going to put 2 here. I don't necessarily need that because I'm not going to play those builds, but I would say this is good for some new players may not realize there's a bug because they don't know the general cadence of the game. And so something's massively overperforming and they don't realize it because they're just reading someone's build guide and or listening to someone's build guide. And that person didn't tell them it was a bug because there's a lot of content creators out there that like to benefit from overperforming builds and not tell you it's a bug. And so I don't think they should be totally screwed. I think they should have some advanced notification. But who really screwed them was that content creator who didn't tell them it was a bug. And I don't know how EHG fixes that other than just being like, hey guys, this is a bug and we're gonna fix it. But 2, since people who do it without realizing it have a chance to prepare, yeah, that's what I'm basically on. All of this that was being talked about was all in CT. Yeah, it was. And that's what bothers me the most about all of this, is that it didn't have to happen. If they would have prioritized getting those super OP broken stuff nerfed, like here's where we ended up where we are. EHG didn't prioritize that stuff pre 1.0 and then said they're not going to fix it post 1.0. That's how we ended up here. I don't know how I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that was where the decision making ended up flowing. I've seen some crazy shit happen in meetings. I've been part of it, where like things just go off the rails and you start with good intentions and then all of a sudden decisions are made that ultimately don't really make any sense from anyone that's like, you know, just step back a little bit and looking like, whoa, that's not a good idea. So maybe something like that happened, but they need to go full circle on this, like real quick. Massively prioritize these bugs. What's CT for if it's not for finding game-breaking bugs? And be willing to fix them immediately if they do show up. And if they do that, I think they're fine. Like you can't bat 1,000 on this stuff. Anytime that a bug gets released, it's a loss. It's an L for the dev. It's always gonna be to some extent L. The question is how much of an L is it gonna be? When you leave it in for 3 weeks and tell people you're not going to fix it, that's the biggest L you can possibly get. That's just the absolute worst choice you could make. So whatever they do, they need to stop that. I don't know that this survey is going to help. It's weirdly worded. It's tying things together that shouldn't be tied together. It's using ambiguous language, like mildly. Highly is a little bit more easily understood, but even then, it's ambiguous to a new player. What does this mean? What does highly overperforming mean? Does that mean I'm supposed to struggle on every fight, and I'm not right now, so therefore it's going to get nerfed? Mildly makes... What? If it's 1% more, is that mildly? If it's 10% more? If it's 30% more? What does mildly mean? And then you guys pointed out that these are just flipped backwards. And so people are going to probably do the wrong ones here. And so that's going to also skew this. Like, the fact that they needed a balance survey after all of the feedback they've gotten from the community, both internally, like, people like me, like, guys, don't do this, and then the massive amount of negativity they've gotten on the forums and Reddit, the fact that they needed to do this, I don't understand it. Like, this shouldn't have even needed to be done. It's like, it's an obvious, it's a slam dunk here, guys. It's a slam dunk. Just stop doing what you're doing and change it, and then everyone's happy. Okay, I'm gonna submit this, and I think that's all I have to say. That was 15 minutes of me ranting. I don't normally like to rant on my videos, but this is something that just needs to be talked about more. It's already being talked about a lot, but I think all of us content creators have some responsibility to discuss this, and get something changed here, because this is not normal. Like, the way they're handling this stuff is not normal. It's not how other devs do it. D4 tried this in season 2, and they immediately changed course in season 3 when everyone was playing Ball Lightning Sork. Because everyone was playing Ball Lightning Sork, especially if you played as Sork, you could only play Ball Lightning Sork or else you sucked. Like, this is just, it's just not good balance design. To leave bugs in that are causing a massively overperforming builds to be the only option you really have if you want to be not even just competitive, but if you don't want to feel like shit because, your buddy over there is killing things 10 times faster than you are. And like, why would you play something that's 10 times slower? It makes no sense. So hopefully they get what they want out of this, or they get what they need. I don't know what they want. Hopefully they get what they need out of this, which is enough people knowing how to navigate that survey with the ambiguous wording and the reversed response thing. Hopefully they get enough out of that to adjust this so that we don't have to keep talking about this, because honestly, this is kind of exhausting to keep talking about the way they're handling balance when it just doesn't even make any sense to begin with, and I don't know how we got here in the first place. All right, that's all I have to say on this. Hopefully the next video was a lot more positive and optimistic. Thank you so much for watching, and despite all this stuff, I hope you have a great time, and let's debug.